Let's continue with the creative sector and let's talk about movies. There's a movie called My Father's Shadow, and the producer, writer is joining us from our Abuja studios. Mr. Wale Davies joins us. Oh, virtually. Sorry, I transported you to our studios, maybe some other time. Davies, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me. I'm very honored. It's a privilege for me to be able to be on this morning to speak to you, to speak to Nigerians. I'm very grateful. Thank you.
All right, fantastic. Before we talk about the movie and the creative sector, there's one question I think I must ask you so that I don't forget. Which is a tougher job when it comes to movie production? I know every part of production is important, from even the conceptualization or the idea in the direction of that movie. But writing and producing, which is tougher?
For me, this is a difficult question. I would say writing took me, because I started writing the idea for this film 10 years ago in 2015. And so it's been a 10-year journey. But I would still say production is tougher. Production is tougher in the context of raising the funding for the film, having people that can believe and want to back your film, and then the actual production of the film itself. You know, we shot across Lagos, Ibadan, and as you know, shooting in Lagos has a lot of challenges. Shooting in Nigeria has a lot of challenges, and it's an act of persistence and perseverance for you to fully get through these challenges. So I would say production is definitely tougher.
So let's talk about the movie itself. So for people who haven't seen it, I'm sure this will be a great insight into the movie. Tell us about the concept behind it.
So the concept is actually just exploring themes around fatherhood, exploring themes around nationhood, exploring themes around brotherhood. It's about two young boys who get to spend a day with their father in the big city. Their father is somebody who spends a lot of time working, so they don't really see him in their life that much. And this day they get to spend, but then the backdrop of the day is also the annulment. It's the day the expectation of an announcement of the winner of the June 12 election. So this the day the election is actually annulled. So there's a lot of tension, a lot of palpable tension in the country on that particular day in 1993. And so, yeah, so it's a journey for them going in on this particular day to Lagos, into the big city with their father, spending the day with him, whilst the country is also experiencing some turbulence as well.
So you, if I'm not mistaken, you co-wrote this film with your brother, Akinola Davies.
Yes.
And I'm compelled to ask, how personal is this story for you and your brother? Because we see in the film also, you know, two young boys spending the day with their father.
Yes. I mean, it is quite personal. I think that, you know, unfortunately, we both lost our father at a very young age. I was 5 years old, and I think perhaps some of the film is the idea of us wondering what it would be like to get to spend a day with our father. What are the questions we would have wanted to ask? What are the things we would have wanted to discover about him? What are perhaps some of the things he would have wanted to share with us as well? I also, 5 years ago, became a father, you know, so my daughter is the same age I was when my father passed away, you know, so it's also experiencing the balance of working, trying to make money to provide for your family versus your physical presence, you know, or in some cases your absence because you're working and you're having to balance these two things. So I think it's really just speaking to that. It's really speaking to the concept of fatherhood. I have a lot of friends who, you know, because I didn't have my father present, you know, I spoke to a lot of friends and found out and observed their own relationships with their fathers. And some of them say, you know, my father is just this tough guy that whenever he comes, I'm scared. I run. We all run into the house. We don't have a chance to speak to him. He's very rarely vulnerable because the father role has been defined as mainly the breadwinner and the caretaker, you know, in some ways. But I think there's also a question about, you know, relationship between father and his children, you know, and how we can start to redefine that relationship, how we can start to build more communicative. Someone told me the other day that they've never heard their father say, "I love you" before. And even if he did, it would feel strange, you know. So I think it's just asking some of these questions. I feel the purpose of art is to provoke and ask questions, you know, and that's what we're trying to achieve with the film.
You know, to be fair, I think our fathers found a way to say "I love you" without saying it. They say it like,
exactly.
"Have you eaten?"
Exactly.
Sorry,
exactly.
we want to hear it.
You should go to bed early. That's how to say "I love you." Have you eaten? Yes. How do you feel? But yes, that's just by the way. I am really curious about how you were able to implement and achieve this masterpiece. Some call it the filmmaker's film, because it's a delight for filmmakers. And I must mention, for people who don't know, that this movie also made history, becoming the first ever Nigerian film to be selected for the Cannes Film Festival, where it won special mention for the Camera d'Or, I believe that's what it's called, just to mention how much of a big deal this movie is. But I want to know how you were able to set the scene well, because this was set in 1993, right? So you had to get all of the elements right. The setup had to be right. You had to get elements from 1993. That's 22 years ago. So how were you able to curate all of those elements? Fine, I know you will do well to shoot in certain angles so you don't expose too much. But how were you able to get all of those props, elements to really convince us that this was 1993?
I think as well, you know, you asked the question about production. I think the first thing is even the challenge of production is one thing. Then for the film, we use child actors. So that's another added challenge to the production. Then on top of the child actors, we shot a period piece, which means that there's no mobile phones, no Apple Watch, no even cars. Like, we have to ensure that the cars, we have to get it down to the Naira notes that were being used at that time, down to the fashion that was being used at that time, down to the set design that was being used at that time. Then we also now shot on celluloid as well, which was another challenge in itself. So it's as if we gave ourselves, on top of the regular production challenges, we now stacked more and more challenges on top of it. So it was very difficult, I would say, but we're very grateful that we had amazing set production design team called Anti-Design. We had amazing costumer who came in from the UK. Her name is PC Williams. She's also Nigerian. And we just, you know, try to build this world. You know, building a world is difficult. I'm sure that, you know, there are certain moments where somebody might look and say, but this statue was not there in 1993. So there are still some things that you can't completely eradicate. But for us, we attempted to build a world and try and transport people back. I was 11, the same age as one of the characters in the film in 1993, which is me exposing my age on national TV. But I think that I tried to just go back on memory, what I remembered from that time as a child, you know, and try to put as much of that into the film as possible, or into the writing of the film as possible.
1993, that will be 33 years ago. And pardon me, I'm not trying to reveal your age. It was just because God said 23 years ago, moments ago. So right now, Mr. Davies, I'm angry on behalf of Nigerians. And the reason is simple, because the release is set for streaming platform Mubi. How can Nigerians get to, you know, delight in the beauty of the message of this film if it's not on a platform that they can easily access?
No, that's a great question, and I'm very happy to quell your anger because as of today, My Father's Shadow is out in cinemas. This is the first theatrical release of the film anywhere in the world. It's currently in all Film House, Film One cinemas across the country. So please tell all Nigerians not to be angry and please support us to actually watch the film. I think for me it's very important that, you know, I appreciate and I understand the legacy and the importance of a festival like Cannes. It gives us global eyeballs, it gives us resources and hopefully more opportunities in the future to make more films. But I'm also very, very, to me, it's very important that Nigerians get to see the film. It's a film about Nigeria, it's a film shot in Nigeria, it's a film acted and everything is done by Nigerians. Yes, we had partnerships with companies and organizations in the UK, you know, but for us, it's a Nigerian film, and I want people to watch it. I want people to look at it and hopefully see themselves, hopefully have some nostalgia, hopefully see some of their family within the context of this family in the film, and also, you know, have some of the raise some of the discussion or dialogue that I hope the film provokes within us. So for me, please support an artist, you know, support, I was about to say struggling artist, but support an artist. Please go out and see the film, tell your friends, tell your family, take your father, take your mother, take your children, and yes, and hopefully, and also as well, just in the context of 1993, especially because history is such a touchy subject now, I also think for the younger generation who perhaps were born in the 2000s, who don't really know, I mean, they've heard about what happened in 93, but they don't know the experience of what people felt in that moment, what the nation felt in that moment. Hopefully they also learn more about their country's history through the film as well.
There's a lot I still want to ask you, really, because this masterpiece is mind-blowing. I want to speak to the child actors, and I think you talked about them. I think they're brothers in real life, Marvelous and Godwin. Am I correct?
Yes. Yes, they are brothers.
Fantastic.
They are brothers.
How tough was it getting actors? I mean, we can talk about Davies. We shouldn't talk about him because it's expected she'll do well, right? But the child actors, right? How tough was it getting them? And how tough was it shooting them? I remember watching, what's his name now? Jackie Chan always does the, the post-roll scenes or something like that, and he shows just how tough it is, how many times they have to do the takes. Sorry, say that again. My director is giving me the right term. Behind the scenes. So, right, you see how tough it is. At some point, he's angry that we've shot this scene 10 times. We've wasted, time and all of that. So, was that the case with the child actors? That's Godwin and Marvelous. Or how was the experience shooting them?
I think, to be honest, first of all, it was very difficult. It was one of the most challenging casting pieces of the film. We did call-outs around 7 states in the country. We looked for child actors from drama schools, from church, from secondary schools, from drama groups. We reached far and wide. We did casting in Lagos, in Ibadan. We tried to find out, and we had people also sending self-tapes as well, so we could try and locate and find. And in the first or second round, we didn't find these boys, and in the last round, we had a selection of boys we had shortlisted to come in. And we now said, okay, let's just select from the tapes and have some other people to come and bolster this original selection. And funny enough, they were the kids, they were within that group of kids that were on the self-tapes that we had brought in. And the other thing as well is that we didn't know that they were brothers because they were labeled, their names were labeled wrong. So we had no idea they were brothers when we started casting. And then we noticed that these 2 boys, there's a natural thing that brothers do when they play or they put each other, and we now found out that, oh wow, they're actually brothers. And the good thing about it, even though they had never acted before, their mother is also an actor. And so I think that was probably why they were able to retain lines so well, because I've never seen even adults struggle in some ways to retain lines the way they did. And on set, they were really a joy to work with. Everybody has to now play a fatherly role. Shokwe Dirisu as well came in, and he played almost a fatherly role because we'd see him off camera reading their lines and going through their lines with them.
I know if I allow you the story, you keep going and going. You're a storyteller, so why not if not? But we're totally out of time. In 10 seconds, how much did it cost to shoot? How much are you expecting to make out of it? If you can.
Well, I would say the budget was very significant. I would say, without fully exposing the numbers, it's a very significant budget. It's the biggest thing we've ever worked on before. And we're hoping that if plenty of people go to the cinemas to watch it, whilst it is in Nigeria, if plenty of people, when it does a global theatrical release, go and watch it, hopefully we'll get the ability to make more films and tell more stories like this. Yeah, so thank you for the time on the platform.
That's a very, I don't know whether it's called, I don't know whether to call it diplomatic or political answer, but whatever it is, it's convenient. But we appreciate it. Wale Davies is the writer and producer of the movie My Father's Shadow. Thank you so much and good luck.
Thank you. I appreciate the platform. Thank you so much. God bless you.